Welcome to the very first podcast episode since my long hiatus. Forgive me if I am not as natural on camera. It's going to take me a little minute, and I do lack some confidence, but this is a way for me to be better at that, grow in public speaking, and I don't know, I think I'm better at writing my thoughts down. And instead of doing that, I wanted to get better at thinking off the top of my head. If my videos tend to bore, then I will start writing some of my thoughts down and just going off of that. I would hate to use a teleprompter or anything. I hate to think that our manners were rehearsed, but I don't know. I think that speaking off the top of your head um, in real time uh, can a lot of time eliminate whether or not someone truly believes what they are saying online because they are actually thinking about it in real time or critically are supposed to be thinking about it in real time. And oftentimes when people write things down, well, they can word things very flowery, be politically correct. And I think that's the reason why our society is the way that it is today. People have been using flowery words to express how they feel in order to be politically correct, all the while not really addressing the issue that caused them to be politically correct. So, give me some time and bear with me. But for today, I will be doing this off the top of my head. And without further ado, let's get into our first video of a woman who happens to talk about her experience with EBT recipients and why she does not feel in any way, shape, or form a little bit upset that they will not be receiving any of their funds during the government shutdown.
No, I don't feel bad for the people who are losing out on their EBT for Thanksgiving. You niggas don't even like America. Why are y'all worried about celebrating Thanksgiving? I thought y'all said America was an oppressive country. For Thanksgiving, y'all should pack your bags and escape this country. I used to work at a grocery store in Chicago. The niggas I hated the most were the niggas who came through my line with EBT because they always had a bunch of bullshit. I'm talking about 2-3 carts filled to the brim with frozen food, pops, chips, candy, bullshit. Niggas selling stamps. Y'all were having a free for all with the taxpayers' money. I don't feel bad about people missing out on EBT. And this is coming from somebody who used to be on food stamps, by the way. The Bible says if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. So I think EBT is pretty demonic.
Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth, someone who is actually a cashier. And I don't think that you needed to be a cashier to figure out that with the number of Americans, quote unquote, who are on EBT, I think there might be some fraudulent activity going on there. I think that people who get EBT are then reselling them for profits, for cash, trading them in for cash so they can go and buy other things. I think that possibly even just coming up with these scenarios as to understanding why there are so many Americans on EBT instead of actually getting a job when there's plenty of jobs out there. Um, I think it's legit to try to understand why that is and investigate and to see if maybe this is a behavioral problem, people not wanting to work, or if this is just fraud. So, or a combination of both. In my opinion, I think it's a combination of both. This is what happens when you have social safety nets. Social safety nets, in my opinion, are just a big pools of money that are opportunities waiting for um, people who are greedy and don't really care about anyone, and this that will be their opportunity to rob the rob a chest, rob the community blind. The only way though that they can get that for themselves is to convince you, the taxpayer who actually wants to contribute and believe in helping others and believe in helping a community. They pry on your sense of altruism, um, and that's eventually what their goal is. It's for you to be their slave, and they live off of your labor. Let's go ahead and watch another video.
Never seen a more potent display of the difference between Republicans and Democrats than what you're about to see.
To not pay the military, to not pay TSA, to not pay air traffic controllers, and to interrupt SNAP benefits for Virginians most in need.
Glenn Youngkin, Republican governor of Virginia. Watch this. Pay attention to this.
He says the state will pick up the bill for meal assistance.
The state of Virginia is going to step in and cover the benefits for
Why?
a while. We have the financial resources to do it for a while, not forever.
Meanwhile,
wow, they have the financial resources to do it. You know why? Because they have all of our revenue. We have sent all of our revenue to Virginia. Their coffers are full with our revenue. Now, compare what Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin is doing. He's going to make sure that those people have SNAP, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background on that. Compare that to Governor Moore. This is Governor Moore, Democrat governor of Maryland, how he's approaching this.
Moore put out a statement. He says the Trump administration hasn't guaranteed states will be reimbursed for covering federal expenses like food benefits, which has been the case during previous shutdowns. The governor says, quote, "We will continue to do everything in our power to ensure the federal government follows the law and provides funding for the critical services that our families, our children, and our veterans rely on."
Now, this is interesting, and I've been telling you this for the longest time. Democrats are not your friends. For those people, oh, the Democrats are helping us. I have been telling you, if you listen to my program, I've been telling you over and over and over again, when you people are like, oh, well, we're going to provide expanded SNAP benefits and we're going to pay your rent and everything, they do that for moments like this. This is why they push those things, because this is leverage. Like the Democrats have explicitly said, this is leverage. And in a case where you have a Republican governor in Virginia, his priority is like, look, these people need these benefits. Let's get them fed. Governor Moore is thinking, how do we blame this on Trump? How do we leverage this? And I think there's another layer to this, by the way. I didn't even get to this. I personally feel like the Democrats are really twisting the knife, and they're mad at black people for not showing up for Kamala Harris. I promise you that's part of this. And so they feel like, oh, well, you guys get this. And you can already see on the people are talking about this. Well, you guys voted for this. They want to make sure this hurts because it's related to Trump. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans generally, now again, I can't speak for all situations, they want to get the job done. The other thing I want to point out here is the fiscal situation. Now, Maryland is in no financial situation to be picking up any tabs. We've pretty much run through the surplus, the $5 billion surplus that Governor Hogan left us with. Westmore turned it into a $3 billion deficit. They've barely been able to claw out of that with a ton of taxes and fees that have chased our revenue down to Virginia. This is why forward-thinking executive leadership matters. A Republican governor is going to make sure their people are getting snapped. The Democrat governor is going to make sure you suffer, all so that they can score political points. You decide for yourself what that means.
So pretty much what he has been trying to convey to a lot of those who rely on government assistance. Government assistance is the trap. The trap is to make you dependent on it for everything: healthcare, food, housing, assistance, financial assistance for anything. This is the trap. This is what they want you dependent on, so that when times come, like a government shutdown, they can use you not receiving any government benefits as leverage to really dig into the pain and, well, for those who are dependent on it, and to nudge at those who are not dependent on it, to make them feel emotionally guilty to support those who are dependent on it. Republicans here are making an effort to try to solve the solution because, believe it or not, Republicans want you to find a job. They don't want, or I should say conservatives who really believe in self-reliance, they do actually want you to rely on yourself. But that doesn't mean that if you have extra money and it's not going to hurt you, You can't help someone else out. That's what they actually want you to do. They want you to have all the extra money in the world so that you yourself can either help the community by having the extra capital to start a company to give people jobs, or maybe having extra money to donate to a church, where churches have in the past have been the breadbasket for communities in a time of suffering, or in cases shutdowns, or possibly just helping someone on your own volition. You only can do that if you have more cash. So Republicans, well, conservatives try to promote self sufficiency through employment, and you should only rely on the government in dire needs. And if we have it, we will give it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the way to live. I think that's a good way to live. It makes you accountable for your own actions, and at the same time, make you accountable to, I don't know, possibly fulfill your social desires to help others, your social need to want to look after the community. You can be responsible for that. Don't expect the government to. Why wait for them? They can start with you. So I think that's the main difference between Democrats and Republicans too when it comes to um, benefits and welfare systems. Democrats use it to exploit others, whereas Republicans only have social safety nets, or will only agree to social safety nets if people use them only when they are required to, and it must be a dire situation. But in order to do that, you must be honest. You must be a moral person. Republicans rely on you being, well, in their way, their system is a trust system. They trust you to be honest enough to admit when you need help, and honest enough to admit when you do not need help, and be able to let go of that help. Unfortunately, Democrats don't care. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk about another difficult topic in the next episode. Bye. Remember to like and subscribe.